Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this webinar on the crypto fund launched by us on our blockchain called Neural and accessible through MakeMyFund.in. Today, we'll talk about what is the thought process behind this crypto fund and how one can actually buy it on the Neural blockchain. So let me get started. As always, please feel free to type in your questions in the chat box even during the session. I will take them up as we speak instead of waiting till the last point in the presentation. And we'll obviously have a Q&A at the end as well. So to begin with, the reason we thought of launching a crypto fund is because of two things. One, it demonstrates the power of Neural as a blockchain where you can actually get hitherto inaccessible or difficult to access assets in very small token sizes and easy to trade peer-to-peer instead of having to set up a new account with exchange and transferring money there, working with all the regulations, and then trying to figure out which coins to buy. So that's the first part of it. Second was the relatively limited knowledge about cryptocurrencies in amongst investors, and yet the interest in buying something or being there in the mix, right? So we don't want investors to actually end up buying questionable coins because they just wanted to do something and ended up buying then a relatively poor performing coin or almost a fraudulent coin at that. So we thought we'll create a professional fund which allows investors to simply say, here's my money and then invest in good coins, almost like you would have a mutual fund for stocks. A quick word about Neural before we begin on the crypto fund. It's a blockchain solution for decentralized investing. What I mean by that is there's an underlying asset in the form of bond, real estate, ETF, or cryptocurrencies. We want to essentially take them and make them into tokens which are listed and traded on the Neural blockchain. These on-chain tokens then are very easy to buy and sell in very small denominations for investors. So think of it as a 100 rupee bond, a 100 rupee apartment, 100 rupee Tesla stocks, and now a 100 rupee crypto fund. These are not just buyable and sellable on Neural, they're also easy to transfer peer-to-peer. The third part, which is easy advisory, and we want to enable that in a short order, is letting the advisors of our investors actually construct advisory tokens of their own, which are made up of level 1 tokens of underlying assets. So it could be bonds, it could be bond plus crypto, it could be bond plus ETF plus InvIT plus crypto. So it could be any combination as you like. So as you would have seen on Make My Fund earlier, those are executed through a conventional broking channel. We want to create Neural as an alternative alternative execution channel where you don't need to actually have a broking account or demat account, anything. Your investors don't need to have it once you create these tokens. So that's the easy advisory part of it. We'll have a separate webinar on that in future. Last is potential collateral. Once you create, just as you can do loan against stocks and so on the blockchain, it's actually easy to create a smart contract which allows you to borrow and lend very seamlessly through smart contracts, auto-enforceable on a blockchain. So that's what Neural aims at doing. What we have done, now this is coming more specifically to the crypto fund we're talking about. What we did in this is we bought coins from the crypto market. Now, which coins did we buy? We'll come to that as to what is the logic behind these coins, which is Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Polkadot, and USD coin. But once we bought those, these are all sitting in our Coinbase wallet. So these Coinbase wallet contents were essentially then converted into an agreement which is legally enforceable in India, which says that these assets, these coins that we own worth a few lakhs, are now converted into tokens on the Neural blockchain, and anybody who owns those tokens actually owns collectively these coins as a fund unit. This agreement is precise and off-chain, and it is listed as it's available with us for review. The token creation part on Neural blockchain is the on-chain part of this, where this transaction of the fund, the creation of the fund, is represented as a specific token creation transaction, which talks about what is the token, what does it actually represent, and so on, what is its fee structure, etc., as a fund, and which document was used to create the hash of this specific fund. What I mean by that is it's a two-way linkage. The fund on chain, the token, talks about the legal document that created it through a cryptographic signature of the document. So anybody can verify it, not just us. It's the SHA-256 algorithm. You create a doc hash, you can just get the same hash as we got. Secondly, the document itself mentions this token. So it's also clear that this is two-way. Now, this token which is created on the blockchain it can be bought and sold by anyone after they create a KYC compliant wallet, and I'll walk you through how to do that. And then lastly, buying and selling it itself, which is once you create it, we can simply transfer some money to us on the in a standard banking channel and get the smart money tokens with which you can buy the crypto tokens along with the bond tokens and other such tokens. And in future, we'll keep adding more as we go. Now, that's the outline at how we created the first token in the first place, right? Now, specifically, what is the thought behind the crypto fund, right? So this is the point which is slightly confusing for investors, that there are so many cryptocurrencies and there's so much of hype and hoopla around this technology, this individual currencies. So how do we actually go about deciding which ones to buy? Our answer on this is that as a currency, cryptocurrency philosophy is a bit weak. As payments, they're not exactly the most friendly for making payments because they're volatile. The finite supply makes them macroeconomically imprudent, and their secrecy makes it non-KYC compliant. So all of these reasons make currency aspect of cryptocurrency a little bit of a question mark. And so that's why I was against it till quite recently. But the underlying blockchain technology is very versatile. As some of you would have seen in our previous presentation, Neural itself is a blockchain, and it is essentially an investing blockchain. So we don't even have our own native cryptocurrency. We're simply saying we'll tokenize other assets like stocks, bonds, properties, and so on and so forth, and trade them on the blockchain platform, which is Neural. Now, technology being as powerful as it is, one needs to then understand what is the underlying technology of various coins. And it differs from coin to coin. So there is one class of coins, which is the Bitcoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, and so on, which are essentially simply conventional first generation payment coins. The only thing, or you can do some other things also with it, but the most you can do with these coins is pay someone some value. That's it. So X pays Y $10 or 3 Bitcoins or whatever else. That's what this bunch achieves. And this outward means it's basically launched later and later. So this is slightly outdated. There are obviously a couple more circles here which are the latest coins. There are tokens which represent platforms which carry out specific technology tasks. The most interesting elements are these smart contracts, and some of it is something we're doing on Neural also. So Neural will belong here in the 2021 circle. What smart contracts do is they enable you to actually convert into a code algorithm a set of conditions. So let's look at a simple loan contract, for example, right? What is a loan contract? A secured loan contract that I give this asset to you, against which you lend me, let's say, half its value as a loan. If I pay back, you have to give the asset back to me. If I don't pay, you have the right to sell the asset, recover my money, and recover your money and give me the balance if there is anything left. So it's a very simple transaction. In real world, as in the off-chain world, it's very difficult to implement, as many of the lenders to real estate developers have found out. And so it's cumbersome because enforcement is very complicated. It can be stalled by the person who owns the assets. Even demat shares in ADAG groups, demat shares were put up for sale for loans enforcement by Edelweiss and others. It ran into some trouble because they put a legal case, etc., etc. So it's all very cumbersome, to say the least. But on a smart contract based platform, it won't be so, because the logic there is code is locked. So essentially, you the borrower defaults, there is no recourse that he or she has to say, okay, let me try to restructure this. There's not post facto, you can't do that, and then automatically the underlying asset will get sold and so on and so forth. So I'm not trying to say that that's the only good thing about smart contracts. I'm just giving it as an example as to how something which is so cumbersome and complicated in the off-chain world can be made so simple in a smart contract, which automatically enforces the contract in case of a default, pays the lender only the amount owed to him or her, and balance to the owner, if any. So if it's a 100 rupee loan, 200 rupee underlying, the 200 rupee underlying goes up to 220 in value, the loan goes to say 105, that's the default. The 220 is sold, 105 is paid to the lender, 115 is paid to the original owner. So that's just a simple transaction. So all of this requires no enforcement. The beauty of this technology is what we are using. So this is an example. You can also do hedging contracts. You can do COD, cash on delivery, can be made into a blockchain-based contract where once you put in the PIN or whatever of having received a package, that goes into an escrow smart contract, which releases the money to the seller. So you don't need an Amazon then, because the buyer and seller can rely on the fact that this is a smart contract which will automatically figure out whether to pay the seller or not in case of delivery or non-delivery. So they don't have to trust each other. So this is just a couple of examples. There are many more. Long story short, the technology is very promising, but not all coins have the same technology. So you need to figure out which coin is interesting from your perspective, which specific technology you want to take a bet on. There are overlay services like Sia Coin and so on. Then there are specific coins like Ripple, USDT, and so on, which are simply stable coins. And then there is privacy-based coins like Monero and so on. So this is not the full universe. This is just sort of an overview of what all goes on. So before we move forward, let me take this question from Rishabh. What is the view on recent hacking of cryptocurrencies, cryptocurrency by a group of hackers? So this hits the news. Many other things don't even hit the news. Lots of things are going on in this world, crypto world. It's wild, wild west right now, which is why we don't really believe in every new thing that comes up in crypto markets is not exactly reliable. Hacking in crypto world is similar to hacking in off-chain world, which is basically social hacking or technological hacking and so on and so forth. Chains themselves are relatively safer, depending on which chain it is, but it's very hard to hack into a Bitcoin or Ethereum as it is. The wallet's also relatively secure. What gets hacked often enough is exchanges or protocols which are poorly designed. So for example, if I have Ethereum and I stake it in a poorly designed smart contract, like some new developer has come up who's created a smart contract saying you can get a yield of 3% a month on this if you just stake your Ethereum. If you start designed it poorly, somebody can take away that Ethereum and run with it. That's not the problem with the Ethereum chain. That contract was ill-designed. Likewise, some exchange keeps its wallet open to hacking and they keep their money with themselves. It's like saying, look, if I buy through some Indian broker, some stocks, and the stocks are lying in the broker's account, not my demat account. The broker's tech gets hacked, my stocks are stolen. That sort of thing happens from time to time. So that's about the developer's efficiency. And we'll come in the subsequent slides about how to guard against that. Harsimra's question, regulations around crypto fund in India. So we have done our research, which essentially boils down to this. Currently, Supreme Court has given very clear guidance that it's not illegal. It is legal to hold cryptocurrencies in India, to trade cryptocurrencies in India. And Supreme Court has clearly directed RBI and others saying you cannot ban unilaterally what is a simple right of individuals to hold a legitimate asset. RBI has its own views on it, because of which it is trying to persuade banks to not allow crypto transactions and all. ROC has required companies to disclose crypto transactions, and all of that is happening. But regulations in India are still in their infancy about cryptocurrencies, crypto funds, crypto assets. Same thing goes on taxation also. So, long story short, we have to wait for the parliament to actually carry out the cryptocurrency law or crypto assets law, and then we'll know how to actually interpret it. Worst case, they'll ban everything. That's very unlikely. Best case, they'll put some transaction cost on it or restrictions on sending money overseas, etc. But long story short, we'll have to wait for what the clarity is. In the meantime, we can invest in cryptocurrencies anyway, P2P as well as through funds of the sort that we're launching today. Taxation, our current view is that it will be short-term, below 3 years, short-term gains added to income, long-term, above 3 years as any other capital assets, 20% with indexation. But again, some clarity needs to emerge there as well. So think of it as art, for example, right? Art is not formally recognized as an asset class, but if you buy art and sell it after 3 years, most cases you'll end up paying a 20% with indexation as cap gains. Similarly, this is not anything which is not explicitly covered by the tax laws is a typical capital asset. And obviously, any short-term income, trading income will be income, marginal tax rate. Funny's question, unable to execute transactions. I'll walk you through how to do that right now. So you'll just bear with me. The next half is exactly that. Super. Let me see a couple more questions before moving on. So today, in the second half, we'll talk about how to carry out the investment in the fund. So this doesn't remain theoretical. Great. So now, what drove our selection, right? So cryptocurrencies as a full universe, as I said, is actually fairly interesting, fascinating, and complex. So we wanted to figure out which technologies do we like the most, right? And that is this short list. Obviously, there are some others that we're watching, so I'll quickly talk about that also. But at the high level, this is the subset that we like for immediate investment. This is least prone to hacking, most promising in terms of technology, and has the highest developer ecosystem currently going on, as well as VC support and so on. And so these are 4 standard coins, like with some upside potential, and 1 cash. So I'll come to why cash also. So the standard coins are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Polkadot. So why Bitcoin? It's too large to ignore. Frankly, personally, I don't really believe in Bitcoin's long-term potential, but I'm a bit of an odd one out on that context. A lot of crypto enthusiasts swear by Bitcoin, but there's nothing wrong with Bitcoin. It's more that it's like a first-generation technology. So between Bitcoin and Ethereum might very easily become like a Yahoo Google story. Yahoo was everybody's darling in the early 2000s, and everybody, in fact, many of older ones amongst ourselves have Yahoo IDs also. The younger guys don't even know Yahoo had a mail ID. So that may happen with Bitcoin and Ethereum because it's old technology. It's the foundational technology. It started the blockchain revolution. So obviously one has a respect for that, but doesn't mean that it will be around for long. Second thing which is problematic about Bitcoin is that it is the currency only use. So you can use Bitcoin to some other things, but basically it's about paying someone else some value. That's all. But you can't ignore it because it is the largest market cap. It is twice as big as Ethereum almost, and it's like everybody else put together is same as Bitcoin. So for a while it will be around. The momentum is too strong in its favor. And it's also useful for staking, and you can actually, if the chain interoperability comes about, then you can take Bitcoin to do a lot of other things on other chains. Because since it's in such a wide supply and holding, the people always create something or other to incorporate Bitcoin in their assessment. So we don't think the price of Bitcoin is going anywhere as in it's not likely to fall by the wayside. It will be around for next few years. So it's good to have it in the portfolio. It's like a large cap. It might have run its course in terms of price appreciation, but it's also the safest for now. Now, what is a good bet on the medium term? We think it's Ethereum, because Ethereum arose on the back of Bitcoin, taking all the good parts about it, but generalizing it. Think of it this way. The first generation internet was only about emails and browsers. You could hardly do anything else with it. So basically, you simply could go online and check out a few sites or receive email and send emails. But today, if you think of internet, there are so many different things. You can actually use several apps on your phone. That's how we now deal with the world. Reading magazines to watching short videos. We don't go to browser for any of this, nor do we use email for that. Then there's WhatsApp, which is messaging, internet banking. This is Web 2.0, right? In a similar way, Ethereum is the second generation of blockchains. So it is actually generalizing the blockchain from payments to smart contracts. And I already talked about the example of the loan and the smart COD as smart contracts. They're just simple examples. They're very complex examples also. You can do hedging derivative contracts using Ethereum codes and all that. And so it makes it very rich, makes it very versatile. And so that has obviously caught on and made it, in fact, Ethereum is to a large extent responsible for making blockchains more respectable. Because Bitcoin seemed like a good experiment on the fringes. Till 2015, people were just basically seeing it as a quirk of some tech enthusiasts. But after Ethereum, people started to take note. The whole Linux Foundation's non-public project called Hyperledger came about around the same time. Ethereum is involved with that also through the so-called Besu protocol and all that. In a nutshell, it is clearly the best contender currently in terms of which is the most reliable blockchain technology right now. So when I say reliable, I mean not necessarily the most revolutionary, but most versatile and biggest support of developer ecosystem. So that's why Ethereum. So let's think of it as the biggest, the non-Bitcoin, the best, or the most liquid, most versatile. It has its own problems, which is why Cardano comes into picture. So Cardano is actually very promising from 2-3 angles. One of them is that it's a proof of stake by design, unlike Ethereum and Bitcoin, which are proof of work, where different nodes compete with each other for solving the same cryptographic puzzle in mining a block. That's not proof of stake. In proof of stake, you simply get randomly selected based on the stake you put up to mine the next block. So only one node actually carries out a transaction. The randomness keeps it still secure, and the stake also keeps it honest, but everybody is not competing at the same time. So your energy consumption comes down 1,000-fold. The whole anger about environmental damage caused by Bitcoin mining in China, for example, cracked down on this big time. The recent fall had something to do with it. Ethereum is looking to move to proof of stake already. Bitcoin is not going to move to proof of stake for foreseeable future. Another reason why it might not go very far in the next 5 years. Cardano, by design, is proof of stake. It started out as that. Secondly, it's very enterprise friendly. Currently, enterprises have the standard preference of either going with Ethereum or Hyperledger based on how secure and public they want to be. But Hyperledger becomes too private and Ethereum is too public. So Cardano tries to make some sort of a balance between the two. So it's potentially, if it becomes institutional, then Cardano might have a winner there. Ethereum may remain a generalized public platform and Cardano might become more enterprise friendly. The other thing is the multi-chain interconnections, which is Polkadot, where each chain operates independently of other currently. There are some bridges here and there, but they are very prone to hacking and so on and so forth, which is what one of the questions earlier was. So Polkadot tries to create a very reliable protocol to combine them as like a chain of chains. So that actually then makes it like, think of it as a SWIFT system where banks are connected to each other. Or the UPI, NCPI system in India where payments are happening on that. So banks can talk to each other very easily without having to trust each other. So that's what Polkadot is trying to do. Again, slightly speculative, but it's a very promising technology. They've been doing the work for a couple of years plus now. So it's promising from that angle. So these are our 4 technology bets. Bitcoin as the core tech, which has just the largest liquidity. Ethereum as the most reliable, robust platform. Cardano as the proof of stake, enterprise-friendly, smart contract version of Ethereum. Polkadot for chain interoperability. There are 3-4 others that we'll include in future, like Aave, which is for the finance protocol, decentralized finance. Uniswap for liquidity protocols, Polygon, which is a scalability solution of Ethereum, Bangalore-based, in fact, and Chainlink, which is for the Oracle protocols on blockchains. But that's all for future use. Currently, these four are most reliable, most promising as a combination. Then we need a cash coin. This is for rebalancing. So what happens is, if you actually, the crypto coins last 1 month, in fact, they've gone up quite a bit, 20% up, in fact. So you want to take the profits and put them in cash. So instead of taking it out and putting in fiat, you simply put it in cash coins. It's very easy then, low cost. Likewise, if they crash and they go down by 20%, you can take some cash coins out and put them in the crypto. So that way you can rebalance internally without having to take money out in fiat currency. So that's the selection of these 5. Now, to Funny's earlier question, how do you actually create wallets and buy these crypto funds on the Make My Fund platform, right? So here then there are 2 steps. You have to create a wallet, which is add your KYC docs. I'll just demonstrate how. And custodian approves the wallet, which is us. Then wallet keys, which will currently remain with us, but you can also request for them. And then you need to buy the SMTs, which is the second step. So Funny, I've seen your question. We'll walk you through that as well, which is add ASCII Investment Managers as a payee, transfer funds to ASCII IM, and update it on your login, and verify that you received the smart money tokens once you see it in your your wallet that is with Make My Fund. So let me pause this and show you a demonstration of that. Right. So this is our Make My Fund platform. As you have seen earlier, we added now tokenized assets, so they are sitting here. You can see bonds and crypto funds. So today we're looking at crypto funds. They're both tokenized, so they're here. We can see this crypto fund, which you can potentially buy. So you see the details here. There's also a short video here, which you can click. This is a YouTube video, which you can see create a wallet and buy tokens. And here you'll see that there is price, which is dynamically updated every 15 minutes or so. And you can buy it here. Obviously, you can't buy it without creating a wallet. So let me first log out and show you. So this is my account, which has SMT balance and all that. But let's start from scratch. Yeah. So if you just come to this page, makemyfund.in, you'll see this. If you go here, you'll see the graph, etc., and see, okay, this is looks interesting. I want to buy, but you can't buy it without logging in. So first is login. This is, you can register if you're not already registered with Make My Fund. You can register with your email, put your email address, name, address, create a new password, register. Or you can log in with your Google account. That will also be possible for registration as well as login. So that is simple, straightforward process to create a login. You'll be asked to say okay to an investment advisor agreement on logging in. But that aside, that part is simple. Now, once you create the login, you can log in using that. In this login, if you go to the tokenized assets again, which is the crypto fund, you'll see this. Now you will see this create wallet. So if you don't have a wallet, you will essentially see this. In this account of mine, I don't have a wallet. So if I click on create wallet, you'll see this. So put in the name, for email, phone number, all of these are compulsory fields. You put in the PAN number, upload the file, put in the Aadhaar number, upload the file, or driving license as the case may be. Bank account number, IFSC, upload a cancel check file, and update here. This will trigger a wallet creation request at the backend where somebody manually will check your details. And in a few minutes, they'll approve that request and you will have a wallet. So I'll just log out now and just log in using a account which actually has a wallet. So Hamdan's question is, what is a tax ID file? This is PAN. So tax ID is for general use. So Neural is a global chain. So in Indian context, tax ID means PAN account, PAN number. But you can also submit it as an NRI. So you can submit your own account's tax file. So this is the account where I have the wallet. So if I look at my wallet, for example, if you create a wallet, you will see this wallet public key. And if you're not bought anything, it will be all empty. So this will all be blank. And you will not have any transactions either because you're not carried out any transactions. So now how do you carry out transactions in the first place? So you need to add the smart money tokens. So how to add them is essentially go back to the crypto fund page, and you see at the top my SMT balance. So I have, this is 1 paisa is 1 SMT. So divide by 100, you get the rupees. So I have 8,193 rupees, 19 paisa in my account. You will show it in your account when you create the wallet for the first time. It will show as my SMT balance 0. So click on that. It essentially takes you to this page. So funny, I don't know whether you managed to look at this page and transfer the money. If you manage to do it, then let us know. But if not, then this is a next step to buying the fund or any bond token. So this is our address, account number and details, IFSC, etc. You transfer, add this as a payee, then transfer money to this address. When you transfer any money, you can even do stress transfer of 1,000 rupees and all that, or maybe more, as the case may be. This, whenever you carry out a transaction, you get a transaction reference number from your bank. So put that reference number here, because we'll also see it at our end. Put in the amount you transferred and confirm it. That also triggers the request at our end, where somebody checks our bank. We anyway get the bank account details, as in bank transaction details. We verify it against this. This you're doing it inside your account, so we know this is your transaction. And once we confirm it, your account will also start to reflect the wallet balance of SMTs, which is in paisa. So once you do that, once this reflects this balance, you should be able to then carry out the transaction. So I want to say buy one token, which is worth 120 rupees, 32 paisa. I simply say total value is this. I save. As you can see, all transactions have succeeded, which means I have actually bought that token, which is ASCII crypto fund. I already had 5. I just bought 1. So this is sitting here. So that's basically as simple as that, buying a smart money token. You can actually see the transaction here, 12th August. Sometime back I bought one, but just now I bought this one, which is success. You can double check this also on the blockchain. These are my previous transactions, but you can download the blockchain here. And this blockchain is also visible to you. So let me stop sharing this and share the blockchain document. So just to be clear, this document is in public domain. Anybody can see it at any point of time. All the transactions are recorded here in this form. So the one transaction we just did, which is at the bottom right now, as you can see, this is this is the transaction. So yeah, this block just been added, 134th block, which has this transaction timestamp 12th August, 6:50 is GMT. So that's about now. Sorry, this is this one, 135. Was just added. Timestamp is 7:35 GMT. So about now in IST. Proof is a crypto concept. You can ignore the text and this thing, but specific data. This is the transaction data we're talking about. This is a transaction timestamp. This transaction code, as you see here, 5E789, is also available on the Make My Fund wallet. You can see the transaction code. Type 4 is basically a two-way transaction. INR transaction is very clear. The specific data is what is the transaction about. So asset code 2 here is the SMT tokens. Asset code 7 is the crypto fund token. Wallet 1 is me as the buyer. Wallet 2 is ASCII as the seller. And we bought it with 120 rupees, which is 12032 SMTs, and bought one token of the crypto fund, which is this number. This was signed because I approved it on Make My Fund. The wallet got signed through the backend of Make My Fund, and all of this is now showing up here. Long story short, this is cryptographically verified transaction, and it is on the blockchain for anybody to see. And you own the crypto fund now in the tokenized form. So you can buy 1, 200, as the case may be. Shubham's question is, we'll ask you to do the transaction on behalf of big clients who won't do it personally, like a PMS where the client transfer the money to the fund house. What is the expense charged? we can explore this. They will have to still transfer the money to us. They don't need to do it online. If they do it offline and we get their documents like KYC documents, we can do the wallet creation and the transfer, the management for them. There is no additional charge for this because the fund itself has a 1% plus 20% of returns above 20% as a charge. So we don't charge anything additionally about that. So you have a client whose KYC documents you have, including the cancel check, and if the money comes from that same account, then it's anyway linked to that wallet. So we will create the wallet, we'll do the purchase. So let us know if you need to do that. Some clients want to invest in this fund already. How will you make money on this is Ashik's question. So the 1% that we're charging as a fixed fee, all of that will pass on to you, and we'll pass on half of the profit sharing also to you. So if in the end we end up charging the client 3%, including the profit share, we'll give you 2% out of that. 1% fixed, all of it is to you, and the 20%, half of the profit share. Shubham's question is 1% plus 20% above hurdle of 20%. Yes, that's the plan. So if the annualized returns are 35%, then it's 3% additional, which is 20% of the portion above 20. This is with high water marks, so people don't pay for the same performance twice. Any limits on deposits and withdrawals? None whatsoever. Currently, we have a few tokens available, as you can see on the site. But we are happy to do a round 2 or second close of the same fund based on interest. So it's available right now anyway freely. You can buy it anytime. If this is exhausted, then we will actually do the second close of the same fund. TDS and profit sharing, as in when we pay you, we'll do a TDS. We'll obviously request for invoice from your side, and in that invoice there'll be GST, all of that. So that's current AUM is, we're just starting the POC of this. So we are at about, we're just doing the test pilot transaction, which is about just 10 lakh. But our target AUM is about 10 crores in the few days to come. So we'll do a second close with that. But the same technology, same infrastructure, same everything. Ashik's question, if once your client is registered on MMF, they can buy on their own and we get the fees? Yes. So if a client is mapped to you and they're registered on MMF, they can do it themselves. You can do it for them, they can do it themselves. Either way, you get the fees. So not a problem. How to sell, withdraw the investments. So currently we're just enabling the sell function, but long story short, it's basically as simple as buying. So you like a price and you say, okay, you want to sell at that price, just click the sell button. Your token will anyway get sold to us. We can keep it with us, or we can further sell the underlying transaction tokens. It's up to us. But the tokens will always match the number of, so if you have 1 crore worth cryptocurrency, we'll have 1 crore worth tokens out there. If we end up buying from people, then and we own like 10 lakhs worth that, then we will destroy those tokens and sell their cryptocurrency for 10 lakhs. So that's all our back-end work. Can you provide a small presentation which will be shared with the interested clients? Certainly. So I will send a presentation along with the as in when we send out a thank you mail for this webinar, we will actually include a short presentation which clients can look at. Funny's question, do we need to execute a separate agreement for tokenized bonds, crypto funds? No. This is just a Make My Fund overall umbrella agreement. Holds good for this also. We may have a side letter for the fee sharing, but that's independent of this. What will be the market value of their investment? Will they see the market value of their investment on a daily basis? Yes. So when you look at this, where is this now? Let me show my screen again. Yeah. So when you see the wallet, right, this wallet shows transactions, but above it also shows the balance. So we say serial number, token name, units, value, and rupees, right? So this value is the market value. So smart money tokens don't have any market value different from rupee. So it is exactly equal to the 8,000 rupees that I have in this account. The Government of India token I have is slightly more than the purchase value because of accrued interest, couple of other tokens I have. And then this is ASCII fund. Its value currently is 721.98. So this will keep changing as the market value keeps shifting. So for example, from the last time we checked it to now, we can already see if the crypto fund has changed in value. So 20.98, slightly more than what we bought it at. So this will keep changing every 15 minutes or so based on the actual input from the markets, the crypto markets. So it's very dynamically changing through the day. You can buy and sell intraday also. There's nothing stopping you. There's no holding period or anything. Ashik's question, as I told you earlier, when the client registered through hard-coded link, they're not showing up in my client. So we corrected for that error, Ashik. So we'll double check that. So if they are seeing your logo on logging to Make My Fund, then they are your clients. So they are mapped in our system as your clients. If they are doing a transaction, they'll come to you. The upside will come to you. The fees will come to you. Shubham's question, there is no exit load on investments. No, there is no exit load. You can buy today, sell in next 10 minutes. You can sell in next 1 year. Your call. Does it behave like equity shares with this 2+2 holding period after purchase? That's the beauty of blockchain. The holding period is seconds. The transactions I just carried out of buying the token was executed in finality right now. There is no third party verifying the transaction and executing it. This is all algorithmic. The blockchain technology is precise and final and immutable. So neither ASCII nor the client can change it once the transaction is carried out, and there is no need to do a separate reconciliation later and take 2 days to do that. So it's immediate. The tokens show in your wallet immediately. You can sell them in next 5 minutes if you so wish. Will the coupon payments come on individual's account or get added to investment in case of bonds? They will come as SMTs, the smart money tokens that you see. So in this wallet, for example, when the coupon payment happens, in your wallet, this will go up. The smart money token balance, this will go up by the amount of interest received. Okay, so Shivam's question already answered. Return since inception means which period? This is 4th August. So we were lucky that the crypto currencies went up in value in the last month. We're not expecting 20% returns every month. Target is about 30 to 50% a year through some volatility. But we'll keep rebalancing and it's fairly diversified. So hopefully that sort of return should be feasible. How much maximum investment here as of now? Oh, right here you can do up to 3 lakh because since we launched it sort of went away. People sort of bought it. The 3 lakh is still remaining, but don't let that constrain you because the actual underlying supply of this coins is near infinite. We can buy $1 billion also, but we just need to plan for it. So if this 3 lakh is starting to exhaust, we will do a new fund offering or a follow-on fund offering of the same fund in the same proportion at the same NAV prevailing. We'll increase the supply and we'll buy coins at the back end. So technically, you can assume that you can buy 10 lakh, 50 lakh, 1 crore. Just keep us informed. If it's a large amount, we can plan for it. Can we have a family login for all kinds of family? We're working on that. We'll keep you posted as we conclude it. It should be easy enough, but we just want to be robust about it. Any payment gateway charges for transfer of money from SMT to bank account? No, because SMT to bank account is a NEFT transfer from our side. Bank account to SMT is also NEFT transfer. So whatever NEFT charges that you pay to your side, that will be applicable. What we pay is also applicable, but we're not using Razorpay or any other Visa sort of gateway because those are like expensive gateways, 2% or so in cost. Is nomination in place for MMF clients and partners? It's optional, but yeah, it's definitely there. So is it basically, Ashik's question is it net banking enabled? If it is NEFT, can clients go to bank and do the NEFT offline? Yes, they can. So the details of the bank account are very much here. So you can essentially tell the clients that, look, first open the wallet. Otherwise, it will be tricky for us to track it. So you definitely need to create the wallet by giving us the KYC docs. Once the KYC docs are with us, then we will create this account, which the advisors can also manage on client's behalf. And when you create the account details are here. If you transfer money to this account offline, worst case, even send a check, that's fine, so long as you let us know. If it's a check, then the check number. But if it's an NEFT offline, the bank will still give them a transaction reference number and the amount. They should just tell us that. All of this you can do on email also. That's just as well, not a problem. I'm also typing in our ID just in case you continue to have other questions along. Arindam's question. So Arindam, what we do is we'll get in touch with you offline. There is a full-fledged process to onboard an advisor and then give them a sort of sub-account to which they can bring their clients. So it's a very well-oiled, simple process. So my colleague Palak will get in touch with you and will set you up as an advisor on Make My Fund. So you can transact even in stocks, etc. through that, and tokens also. Ashik's question on, can we have a simpler presentation in layman language for clients live from your team in case if your clients want to see how it works? If you're referring to tokenized bonds and the crypto fund, very much so. If you're referring to Make My Fund in general, that's also possible. So we'll set it up with you, Ashik. Abhishek's question, how many days will it take for crediting the amount after sale? If you're asking about tokenized bonds, 0, basically, same day. So if you create a exit transaction in the middle of, post working hours, then the next day, but as in when the NEFT stops and so on. But otherwise, it is basically 20, as in same day or worst case next day. So it's no long credit period for that. My recommendation though is, if you sell a crypto fund token, then buy a GSEC token and keep it there. Because if you want to buy it again, instead of transferring money back and forth between bank and SMT, just buy a GSEC token. That is no real risk. It'll keep also earning 5% yield. So that's also decent. And you can leave it as that. It's like a wallet money. Future, you want to change it back to crypto fund, you can do that. You buy another token that we launch on Neural blockchain. That's just as well. So it's a bit more easy then. So it's easiest to just transfer money one time, buy GSEC tokens with it, and then wait for tokens to invest in. Is this fund available to B2C only or through an advisor? Both are available. Anybody going to our site and creating their wallet is possible. Our preferred mode is to go through advisors. So that way the clients have more comfort. We don't really want to compete with the advisors themselves. We want to have them as our sort of evangelists, or that's our sort of partners in reaching the clients. So that's why I prefer that approach, but it's not exclusive to that. Great. Any other questions then? So we have made a note of a few to-dos at our end for this. We will get in touch with some of you for setting up the advisory engagement. And Ashik, for your clients, will think about suitable times for the presentations. And so, yeah, I think we'll send out a presentation on the fund itself shortly after this webinar, and also the video recording of this webinar, just in case somebody wants to see it. So I guess that's, let me give it a minute or so before we close it. So quickly summarizing our logic of funds, basically we're trying to say, how do we get a cryptocurrency in a simple tokenized form, and which currencies we're investing in. It's all here. So our intent is to have clients invest in cryptocurrencies, but with professional help rather than getting duped by some questionable NFTs or Dogecoin and likes of them. So that's the spirit behind this. This is our fourth token. We launched 3 bond tokens earlier. Government of India, Spandana Spurti 10%, and DCB 10.5% yield transactions. These are 3 token bonds, and this is our first non-bond token, which is crypto fund. In future, we'll launch a few other interesting asset classes also. So stay tuned. We'll watch more. Ashik's question before we close. Repeat transaction option like SIP, we're looking to create it. If it's SMT, somebody's already credited money to SMT, then we can do it. Otherwise, it's a little bit cumbersome because the standing instruction at the bank's end is a little bit a longer process. But we're working on that. Once it gets done, we'll let you know. Great. Thanks everyone for joining in. It is great talking to all of you. Look forward to hearing more from you on our email address and also seeing more transactions and feedback on the platform.